All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation today. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of NotaryCoach.com and author of the Amazon bestselling book, Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. I'm excited to bring today's presentation to you today, and I'm doing that with my incredible collaborator and co-sponsor of this event, Laura Bewer from CoachMeLaura.com. Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Bill. Good morning, everybody. I'm Laura Bewer from CoachMeLaura.com, as well as the founder of Notary Symposium. And I coach notaries through master classes to improve their skill, their efficiency, and confidence and competence. And I am excited to be here today. I've had personal experience with the PPP program, which is why I said yes to being involved with sharing this with you. So Bill, do you want me to share first, or are we going to first introduce our guests?
Yeah, well, I think I'll let you share a little bit about this first, guys. What we're talking about here is the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. There's a lot of confusion about this particular program, especially when it comes to notaries who are typically independent contractors and how or whether or not we qualify and how we would go about it. When Renae reached out to me, I learned in just maybe a 10-minute, 50, I think we went over a little later. It was like a 15-minute conversation, more than I knew about the program since its inception. And then when I heard that Laura has some personal experience with this, I knew that we had to share this. And we've got two amazing guests I'm going to introduce you to that have really saw an opportunity to help others here and stepped into it. So Laura, tell us a little bit about your experience, and then we'll bring up Renae and Leslie.
Absolutely. As back when it rolled out, and this was like April last year, they said that independent contractors could apply, but it wasn't really clear. And so they said, just go to your own bank where you do your business banking. And that's what I did. I happened to use Wells Fargo at the time. And so that's where I went. And it turned out that all I had to do was fill out a calculation form. Of course, then it's not as generous as it is now because it was on the net of my tax return. And as independent contractors, we write off everything. I may take in six figures, but I don't get taxed on six figures, that's for sure. So it wasn't a very big check that I got, but I got it, and it did help me out a little bit at that time when we, had that like first shutdown back in March of 2020. And so that was it. I would say from the time I applied, within a week or so, I was approved. And right after I was approved, the money hit my bank account. It was really that fast. And then the forgiveness part, which didn't start happening until I think like December into January. And I had to do it twice because my husband's a contractor. He's a general contractor, independent. And of course, he was looking for more money. His has already been forgiven. His is through Bank of America. Again, simple format, figured it out, not difficult at all. We're required to have the documents that support what we claim, but I didn't have to turn anything in. I just had to agree. I had it available if it was asked. His loan has now been forgiven already. It was forgiven in January. I'm waiting on my Wells Fargo. They're like in process because they have to go back through the small business SBA
administration.
Yeah, administration to approve the forgiveness. And if your loan is less than $150,000, you get to do the simplified stuff. So I'm going to tell you, it wasn't difficult. I did get money. It was helpful. There is a second draw. They're going to talk about that. There are some qualifications. The first one, there were no qualifications for me. This one, there are. So I personally won't meet the second one because you have to demonstrate a loss in one of your quarters. So I'll let you talk more details.
Yeah, let's let Renae and Leslie share their expertise.
Yeah.
Because one of the big challenges I had heard, because peace of mind is a big deal for me. So I don't like to jump through hoops on applications and then have to file paperwork and then waiting for customer service. I had heard all these kind of nightmare stories. And I think Renae and Leslie have found an awesome streamlined approach, even through their partners, to help out with that kind of stuff. So we're going to introduce Renae Dentman and Leslie Dawson. Now, Renae is a fellow serial entrepreneur, and she's also the owner of the California Notary Agency. Renae, thank you so much for being here. And Leslie is the owner and broker over at A Plus Development Group. And Renae, I'll bring you up first, and maybe you know Leslie really well. You can introduce Leslie and show us your presentation.
Yes. Hi, you guys. Thank you for the space. I welcome the opportunity to share what we have to offer for our notary community. I appreciate you and Laura bringing us where we can provide that opportunity for everyone. As he said, my name is Renae Dentman,
Hey,
and I am
Renae, I want to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. We can barely hear you.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a lot clearer.
Okay, excellent. So thank you so much for the space. And my name is Renae Dentman. I am the founder of California Notary Agency. And I do this with my fellow partner, Miss Dawson. And she is amazing. She is really developed in real estate and she knows the ins and outs. So I'll give her the opportunity to speak about a little bit of our background. My experience, I'm a corporate accountant, right? So I spent several years in accounting and I now am the accountant for my own several businesses. And her specialty, I'll give her the floor. Miss Dawson?
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you all today, just to share the knowledge that we have. My name is Leslie Dawson. As Bill and Renee mentioned, I am a licensed real estate broker in North and South Carolina, but I am also a loan signing agent, just like the rest of you as well. And when we saw this opportunity to be able to help, we said we have to help everybody else, all our fellow notaries out, just so that you guys don't have to go through the struggles that we went through. We have both personally applied for the PPP loan as well. I've actually applied for 3 of my different companies and been able to access funds for each of them. So we just want to be able to share the knowledge that we gained through the process with you all today.
Awesome. And if you guys have questions as you're listening, guys, Laura and I are going to be in the chat, but we're going to open this up after the presentation for live Q&A. So you'll have direct access to Leslie and Renae for any questions that you have. Leslie, I'm so glad you're here. Take it away.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I'll go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see. Okay. All right. Can you guys all see my screen?
Yes, we are good to go.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So of course, everybody wants to know, what is the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, right? Well, it is a program that was implemented for the pandemic, of course, because when it initially started, everyone had to shut down. All of our business had to shut down. We didn't know what we were going to do or how we were going to bring in income. So Congress figured out a way to help small business owners out because, of course, whenever we're out of work, we don't really have anything to depend on. You know, we don't have sick leave, PTO for time off. We are solely dependent on ourselves and what we can produce. So they created the PPP program and they put billions of dollars into this fund so that small businesses could have access to capital just to survive. Now, as Laura had mentioned, whenever it was first implemented, we were only able to access capital based off of our net income. Well, of course, for a lot of us, we do write off everything. So that was not going to be, the money couldn't be stretched that far, basically. In December of 2020, they put more funds into the program for small business owners. And then in February, President Biden implemented where we would go off of gross income. And we will do a demonstration later. Renae will do that part where we'll show you how you can figure out what your gross income is for your business. But it is on your Schedule C for your tax returns. It's line number 7. But what Congress said is whatever that number is, you would divide that number by 12 and multiply it by 2.5. And we'll do a simple calculation later so you can see that. But because we're going off of the gross income, Now you have more access to funds to actually be able to do something with for you and your family. So that was one of the biggest changes overall in February, that now it's definitely something that I would tell people, don't sit on the sidelines and miss out on it, because you could use it to grow your business. Some of the key things about the PPP loan, of course, everyone wants to know who's eligible. All small businesses are eligible for the program. So that means as long as you generated at least $5,000 in gross revenue for your business in 2019 or 2020, you are eligible to receive these funds. Another key requirement for that is that you were at least in operation by February 15th of 2020. So if you started in March, or if you started February 14th, that's before, you are eligible to apply for this program. The loan does have a maturity date of 2 years, and it just has a low interest rate of 1%. However, there are multiple ways to have it forgiven and essentially turned into a non-taxable grant for you, as long as you use the funds as they're supposed to be used for and as they're directed. In any loan that has been made after June 5th of 2020, you do have a length of 5 years to be able to pay it off in case any portion was not forgiven. Okay. The loan does cover up to 24 weeks of expenses if you need it to. So what does that mean basically? Say if you get $5,000, you can use that to pay yourself a weekly check from your business if you want to, for up to 24 weeks or for a shorter amount of time. You get to decide what makes sense for you. You don't have to make any payments on the loan during those initial 24 weeks, and up to 10 months after that as well, while you're waiting on the forgiveness. Because I will tell you, some banks will send you out the application for forgiveness right at the end of your 24 weeks, and some will not. So you'll just wait for that email so that you can go ahead and apply for forgiveness at that time. And it is a simple process. It's just one form that you'll fill out and complete it. It takes like 5 or 10 minutes to complete it. Just document everything that you do spend your funds on. There is no credit check for this program, so you don't have to worry about if you're having a low score, because a lot of people's scores dropped during the pandemic because we couldn't pay our bills or anything may have happened to where you have a low credit score. They do not hold that against you for this one. You don't have to personally guarantee it with any collateral as well. So that's really beneficial, because for businesses, there's not really many times when you're able to get a loan without guaranteeing it personally or having some type of collateral to back it up. Okay. So let's talk about who's eligible. Again, as I mentioned, all small businesses are. But sometimes we wonder, well, what if I don't have an LLC and I'm not set up? Well, that's okay. You would just be considered like a sole proprietor, right? That means you do not have articles of incorporation for your state. You're just running your business under your personal name and receiving your payments under your social, right? If that is the case, you're a sole proprietor. I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'll take care of that. You go ahead.
Okay. So you're running your business as a sole proprietor. That is perfectly okay. As long as you have a Schedule C on your tax return, you are eligible to apply. Okay. Now, for most of us notaries, we are independent contractors. So whenever we do loan signings or whatever service you're performing, typically those vendors will pay you a 1099 if you've earned over $600 with them that year. Okay, that is another thing that also makes you eligible. And lastly, if you're self-employed, meaning you don't receive a 1099, and let's see. So if you don't receive a 1099, but you still are earning income for your business, long as you can document that in some way, like if you're showing deposits into your bank account, If you're using like a payroll system like ADP, some form of documentation where it can be shown, and you filed that on your taxes, then you are eligible. Now, there is the PPP-1 and PPP-2. So I'll talk about that. So with PPP-1, all you have to do is meet those initial requirements, show income on your tax return for your business, and you're eligible to apply. So you can get this pretty much like a grant for your business, and there were no additional requirements. Once you receive PPP-1, you may be eligible for a second draw, which is called PPP-2. Now, the key qualification for this is that you had to show a reduction in income. So for example, I'll use the one that we have on the screen. If you recorded $20,000 in revenue for the second quarter of your business in 2019, versus in 2020, that dropped to 15,000. Maybe you had to stay home with your kids because school was shut down. So if your income dropped that quarter, at least 25%, that automatically makes you eligible to apply for the loan for a second time, and you will get the same amount of funds. And it will also follow the same forgiveness process. Okay. All right, so let's talk about what it can be used for. At least 60% of the PPP loan must be used to fund payroll and employee benefits costs. So what does that mean for someone who's self-employed like us? That means as long as you use at least 60% of these funds to pay yourself, this loan is forgivable. And if you need to use 100% of it to pay yourself, that is still all forgivable. But for someone who doesn't need to pay themselves 100% of the loan, you can use the other remaining 40% for expenses that most of us will have, for mortgage interest payments, your rent, utilities, any operational costs for your business. So for us notaries, that's us printing a lot. We might need new printers, paper, ink, anything like that is operational costs for our businesses, and we can use the funds for those things. Also, another good example for us is if you need to use the funds to grow your business, you can use it for that. Maybe you've been waiting and needing to take a course or a training. As long as it's something for your business, it can be used for that as well. And if you follow these guidelines, then you'll be able to have the loan forgiven. All right, this is just a further breakdown of what counts as payroll costs. So payroll costs, the way you can show that if it's just you, what we would recommend is that you have the funds deposited into your business account and you write yourself a check directly from your business account to yourself and deposit it in your personal account. That way you have a track record that you did pay yourself with those funds, okay? In regards to how much you're eligible for, they will look at line 7 of your taxes. The most they will consider on that line is 100,000, so it is capped at that. So what that means is if you made $100,000, you would be eligible for a loan amount of $20,833, and that is the max you will be able to receive, even if you made $130,000. They're going to stop counting at 100,000. That's what that cap is. Okay. If you're someone on here and you have more than one business or you have employees for your notary business, they will calculate those as well. That does count in payroll costs. You'll just need to have the documentation to prove that you have those employees. And in that instance, the cap does not, it's not required for you. So you're eligible for more funds if you have W-2 employees for your business. Okay, and this is just a visual of the breakdown for the 100,000. And it's just showing you that if you make 120,000, they would subtract 20,000 from that salary just for the purpose of the PPP. So that would give you the monthly income of the $8,333, which is how they're going to come up with the $20,833 that you would make. And Renae usually does a calculation on a calculator for you later, where you can kind of see how we come up with those numbers. Okay. All right, so how do you apply for the PPP loan itself? You can apply many different ways. So you can go to the SBA's website, and they have a lender match tool on there where you can find a lender that's great for you. You can pick any lender that you would like. Now, we have ourselves partnered with A10 Capital and set up a site specifically for notaries called notaryppp.com. And I'll tell you a little bit about why we decided to do that. Myself personally, whenever I first applied for the PPP loan, I went through one of the larger companies that you would see online, and they had a backlog where it was taking upwards to 2 months just to process an application, and you wouldn't be able to communicate with anyone or hear anything back on your process and know where you were at. And maybe that's happened to some of you all as well. So with A10 Capital, what we found was we have a direct connection with the owner. We reached out to him because we realized they were getting people processed within as little as 7 to 10 days from start to finish. And we found out that they were willing to partner with us. We explained that we were notaries. We had plenty of other notaries who we know could benefit from this service and possibly did not have access to be able to get their questions answered or know where to go. So what they've been able to do is streamline the process. So whenever you apply, we have access to be able to see where your documents are, what you're missing. We can call you and let you know, okay, hey, this is all that we need. Let's help you get it uploaded into the system, and then we can get your application processed so that you're not left in the dark wondering what's going on. Because right now, definitely, you don't want to be stuck because they're projecting that we only have about 20 days of funding left for people to have access to it. Even though the program has been extended to May 31st, they believe the funds will run out before then. And there's no guarantee that more funds will be put into the program. So we definitely want to create a sense of urgency and let you know to apply as soon as you can, so that you don't miss out on the funds. The documentation that you want to have, which will make your application process go a lot smoother if you already have these items available to you and uploaded on your computer. We definitely recommend, number one, to have your taxes. You need 2019 or 2020. Now, the way you'll decide if you have both of years completed already and filed with the IRS, the way you'll decide which one to use is you're going to want to look at your Schedule C on your tax return. You can use the one that has the highest gross income so that you can get the largest loan amount. That is recommended. Also, you will want to have 1099s if you had them for your business. You want to have those readily available along with your bank statements. For bank statements, you will need a bank statement, one that's prior to February 15th of 2020. And then you will need a current bank statement as well. That is the account that they will use to deposit the funds into, the one that's on your current bank statement. Now, one of the issues that I've seen people have a lot when it comes to their bank statements that I like to make sure that we address is the name on the bank statement. It needs to match what's on your tax returns. So if on your Schedule C on your tax return, it's your business name, we'll just say Notary PPP, for example. If that's what it says on your Schedule C, then that's what needs to also be on your bank statement. They are getting really picky about that at the SBA just because there was a lot of fraud in the spring whenever people applied last year. So they do want that to match. If on your Schedule C, it's just your name, then it's okay if you use your personal bank account and it has your name on it. Everything just needs to match so that your application doesn't get flagged. Okay. This just talks a little bit more again, just about the things that you can use it for, and that you'll want to know that you've used the funds for this so that you can apply for forgiveness at the end of the 24 weeks. Again, that's just payroll, your rent, your utilities, and your operation expenses. As long as you keep it in those guidelines, you will be able to have this loan forgiven. All right. So if your loan amount is under $150,000, then your forgiveness process, as we mentioned, is very simple. You would just follow this right here, where you would complete form 3508S, and that is the form that you would be sent by your lender. And most of them have, again, set it up to where it's just an application online that you will fill out. Okay. And that will be sent to you. And you see, it's a lot simpler if it's under 150. If it's over that amount, then you'll go through these processes here. But most people, does not apply to. Okay. All right. So some of the forgiveness requirements, if you do have employees, they do ask that you do not reduce your workforce and that you keep those employees on. If for any reason you get funds and you got more because you had employees and you reduce their hours, or you have to reduce your workforce and let them go, then 25% of that would not be forgivable unless you rehire them. Okay. All right. So one of the big tax benefits about this loan is it does not have an impact on your tax filing at all. Number one, because it's a loan and a grant, um, it won't count as taxable income. Okay. So it's not going to increase your tax liability. And another major benefit that they changed in December was that for us as small business owner, of course, we do write off expenses. Previous to December, if we use the loan for, like, just say our rent, operation costs for our business, we would not have been able to still deduct those items on our taxes. As of December, they did change it. You can use the loan for all of those things and still get the benefits of the deductions and still file them. So it virtually has no impact on your taxes at all. Okay. And just some common questions that we do have. Again, it mainly comes just because people feel like if they're a sole proprietor, they may not be eligible for this, but you are. Um, and it is going to be calculated off of your net profit and divided by 12 and then multiplied by 2.5. So they try to give you at least 2.5 months of income to operate with. So don't let that be a reason that you don't apply just because it's just you're eligible. Okay. Um, can you apply with more than one lender? The simple answer to that is yes, you can. You can apply with more than one lender. However, just keep in mind, if you do that, the lender that you would have to go with is the one who approves you first, because once you're approved, you're assigned a number by the SBA. Okay. And that number is called a PLP number. Once that's been assigned to you, you'll want to withdraw any other application that you have with someone else. At this time, even though you can apply with another lender, I just would not recommend it because we only have a few weeks left and you don't want to do anything that may delay your process any longer than it has to be. That doesn't apply. Okay, we did want to just include some additional resources as well. All of these links go directly to the SBA.gov website. So if you do have any further questions, you can definitely go to that website and you'll be able to find these articles there, just to answer any additional questions that you may have. This is our contact information. If you want to be able to reach out to us after today, if you have any more questions, this is where you can do it. We are holding weekly Zooms on Monday nights and over the weekend to walk people through this application process step by step, just in case you have questions or need help. You'll be able to find the registration links on our websites. We'll have drop-in office hours as well that you'll be able to find there, just so that we can help you.
Awesome.
All right.
I love that you guys take such a hands-on approach to this, because I think that's the most intimidating factor, is understanding the government lingo and filing these applications and understanding the process. Love that. Now, we do have some great questions. You guys have time for some Q&A?
Can I just step in real quick just to show my screen?
Please
and
do,
walk you
Renae.
through, like the second part of the presentation real quick.
Yeah, can you get a little closer to the mic for us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so much better. Thank you.
All right, excellent. I'm going to share my screen and just walk you through some of the calculations, okay? So to apply, you will go to notaryppp.com. It was in the chat, and this is what the screen looks like, okay? For the website, right? You would click the button that says apply, and then it would take you to the next page. From that point on, this is the landing page. We will be your loan originators, and you just press apply, okay? This will set up a portal for you, and you will have to just put, if it's your first loan, you put first. And then if you're going back in, you put second. If it's your second, you put your name, and then you just put a password, okay? I can do that step if you would like. But secondly, I just want to emphasize on what are the expenses. This is pay time off, relief, things to that nature, and non-expensive utilities, rent, um, depending on what particular, if it's your home office, and certain things to that level. All right, next thing I wanted to show people, got a little bit confused with Schedule C. So it's very critical when you fill out this application, what you put. Whatever's on your Schedule C, your tax preparer, your CPA, you did it yourself. If there's a spot right here that says your name, Renae Dentman. If that is a space right here, that's how you're going to have to apply for this application or any PPP application. If there's your business name is in section C, if it is, then you put ABC company. And that's how you would apply your application, okay? So that's just clarification. Then when you go to part 1, section 7, line 7, this is the full amount, okay? The full amount will be literally of your gross on line 7, okay? For those of you who have not seen a Schedule C or not familiar. A Schedule C is just an addendum to your 1040, okay? 1040 is the main tax. It's a 2-page and the Schedule C is 2. All right, so let's just go into, this is what the form looks like. A 1-page form that was previously provided by the SBA. Like Ms. Dawson said, each lender has its own, but the SBA does have a sample form of what that looks like, right? You just fill out the first page and then that is it, okay? How did you use the total amount of that loan, okay? So I wanted to go to the calculator real quick, okay? So just for example, here is a $50,000 I made for being a notary, 50,000. You would divide that number by 12. The SBA is saying on average, you make about $4,166. You would times that, if it's your first application, you times that by 2.5. You'll be eligible for a $10,000 loan approximately, okay? If you're doing your second and you get approved for the second draw, okay, the same equation would happen with the same taxes, right? I made $50,000, right? You would divide that by 12. Now they give you a little bit more, okay? Okay, and then you just divide that by, I'm sorry, you times that. Let's delete that. What is it? You, okay, so you have that, okay? Press equal, and then you times that by 3.5. All right, you'll be eligible for the second draw, which is $14,000, okay? With that being said, so that's what I wanted to explain to you guys, what that was. All right, if you have any questions or you would like to set up the Zoom call where we walk through the application with you, you just go to PP, you go to Notary PPP, you go to stay updated, and then you would just register here and it'll take you to the registration page. Every day, every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. This weekend, I'm not sure if Ms. Dawson let you guys know, but we're having drop-in sessions this Saturday and on Sunday. So if that's something that you'll be interested in, just feel free to contact us through this form. You can have the, thank you so much, and we'll open it up to questions and I'll give the access back to Bill.
Awesome. That was so great. Thank you both for delivering clear and concise information. I think that adds a lot of clarity to what this program is. And I love that you guys take such a hands-on approach. We do have some amazing, really good questions. So I'm just going to dive right in there. I did my best to kind of copy and paste these. The first question I really want to address, because I think it's been asked 3 or 4 times, is if somebody started their business in June of 2020 or September of 2020 or anytime after, what was it, February 13th, 2020, does this program work for them? Renae and Leslie, do you want to?
Yes, I'm
unmute
sorry, I
and-
had to unmute.
That's okay.
At this time, no. Now they do keep changing things as time goes on, so maybe in the future, possibly. But it did have to be prior to February 15th of 2020.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then what if you've been receiving unemployment during 2020? Will it affect applying for the PPP?
No, you can receive unemployment and still apply. So I'll give you an example. So if you filed unemployment for 2020, that typically would probably mean that your income was less than it was in 2019. So all you would do in that instance is use your 2019 taxes.
Beautiful. Then this person says I was part-time notary in early 2020. And then in October, I was laid off and became full-time. Just based on that limited information, would she be eligible?
If by early 2020 she was active before February, then yes.
Beautiful. Great. And then would this loan be considered a personal loan, like using your social security number, or a business loan using your EIN?
It is a business loan, but if you earned your income and filed it under your EIN, then the loan is going to go under your EIN because that's what you put on the application. But if you've been earning income and filing it under your social, it's still a business loan, but it will be tied to your social.
Awesome. And if you are required to have tax returns as a small business, are you required to have a tax return as a small business owner to qualify for this?
Now you are, back when it was first released, no, because they had delayed they had gave an extension for 2019 taxes to be filed. But now since that extension has passed, you do have to at least have your 2019 taxes to apply.
I thought this was an interesting question.
Mhm.
What if you're an LLC and you don't have a Schedule C?
The only way when it comes to an LLC, so the only way being an LLC and not having tax return is one, if you don't make income, right? Two, if you do make income, you automatically, the IRS treats you as a sole proprietor. It's a single member LLC. So that comes with a Schedule C automatically. The only way around that is opting out and electing to be treated as a corporation. And the only way that you can do that is by March the 1st of every year to tell the IRS what status you want. And that's now a 1120S as an S corporation or 1120 as a C corporation. So you have to have a Schedule C when it comes to just a single member LLC.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then we had another interesting question. I think a lot of people are in this position in our community. What if you don't file taxes because you are on Social Security and you don't need to file taxes?
Unfortunately, you would not be eligible to apply because the taxes are required at this time.
All right. And then this is great too. I applied for a PPP loan and I received notice that there are no local lenders that are interested in processing a loan for me at this time. Should I abandon that earlier application? And do you think I could work with you guys?
Yes, my recommendation for that would be to withdraw that application if they don't have a lender for you. And yes, you can go with us. For us, there is no requirement on where you're located at. You can be anywhere in the US and apply.
That's wonderful. And I keep seeing some questions about the full-time, part-time theme. Does that have any bearing or factor in this as long as the minimum income requirement has been met?
No, as long as the minimum income of $5,000 gross for the year has been met, it does not matter whether you are part-time or full-time.
Beautiful. I heard that the qualifications to apply for the second one, you must show a reduction, but what if it's the first time you're applying?
If
Does
it's
there
the
have to be-
very,
I'm sorry,
oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, does there have to be any negative impact?
No, for the very first PPP loan, there does not have to be any negative impact at all. Everyone is eligible for that long as you meet the minimum gross income.
And we've got a couple of questions about the fees to apply for this. Do you guys charge a fee for this service? Is there any cost to an applicant?
I'll take that question. No, it's no fee. And so we do want to be transparent and there's no fee. So we help walk you through the application. If you're having difficulties, we have drop-in hours for today and tomorrow, but also on every Monday, we walk you through the application. So it's the best of both worlds.
Love that. And we'll go, I think we might have a couple more great questions here, but from the chat, and I thought this was important. I saw a slide for it too. If somebody has received one of the SBA loans from some of those other programs, can they still apply for the PPP?
Yes, they can still apply. I would definitely say if that's you, if you received an EIDL loan, definitely reach out to us directly because that's going to be a question more suited directly for the lender so they can take a look at your specific situation.
Ah, great. And then Gisela just asked that very question in the chat. That was excellent. All right. I think, and guys, they, Renae and Leslie have made themselves so available to you with the contact information, the follow-up email, the registration for the weekly calls and the drop-in calls. So for some of these very specific questions, I think we could definitely take that offline. Leslie, Renae, you think that's okay? They can reach out to you directly?
Yes, absolutely.
This has been awesome. Laura, any follow-up questions?
One question I saw was, is there either your slides or PDF, or is this incorporated into the website where they can go back and look visually at your points?
We can provide it to Bill if he's okay with sending it out, then you guys are absolutely welcome to the presentation.
Happy to do so. I can send that out with the replay email later on today, and we'll put a link to it under in the YouTube show notes as well. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. I want to be respectful of your time. I'm so grateful, Renae, that you reached out and brought this to our community. And Leslie, thank you so much for your expertise in presentation today. This is very exciting. And I think it's based on the feedback so far, it's been very, very helpful. And I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people out today. And then Laura, of course, thank you so much for jumping in and tag teaming this with me. I love hanging out with you as well. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.